original song of ours called She Devil. Hope you guys like it. Watching her walking down the dusty street, she's got long dark hair down to her dirty feet. Now I got a real good feeling from the look in her eyes, like she knows that I'll be going home with her tonight. Club dancing, cheek to cheek, Lord, that devil woman never missed a beat. I got some complications with my situation now. Her nails are scratching and my mind is racing so slow. Devil woman won't let me go. Now I became a one-man show. Devil woman won't let me go. I became a one-man show. Devil woman won't let me be. Get her up off her knees. Devil woman won't let me go. I became a one-man show. Devil woman won't let me be, won't let me be, let me be. In the street, room with sexy being, love's running in our eyes, looking like a bunch of spies, feeling like a captive slave to the art that we create. If you're feeling no love inside, then let me see you all get down. Every time I come around, devil woman won't let me go. I became a one-man show. Devil woman won't let me be. Can't get her up off her knees. Devil woman won't let me go. I became a one-man show. The woman won't let me be. Let me be. Let me be. Let me be. Thank you all so much.
Can you hear me now? Shit, what is going on? Why can I not see you? You can hear me now. All right, tight. I didn't have for some reason. But I can hear you. Let me see. How's that? It's whatever. Yeah, you need a rug and you need blankets up and nice. I would definitely keep it around. notes. I can see none of the chats. Or, I mean, I see like my restream, but I don't see any like people talking. Okay, well, that's apparently all the viewers we have. But I usually get analytics up on the top, and I don't show anybody watching at all. Huh. Oh no, that sucks. Oh, we have a hot mic. Hold on.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Is that Dick? That's a different picture. That's right.
Hey, everybody, we back.
Hello.
We got to turn that down a little bit. That spiked it
Oh,
way
is that
into
loud?
red. Hold on, there we go.
I'm a little echoey though. Am I echoing? Can anybody tell if I'm echoing? If so, sorry. New house.
New house, who dis?
So
Oh shit. So yeah, we have all kinds of fucking crazy shit going on.
that we do.
So fucking Rich got his shit fucking pushed in. They didn't even get an interview for the job, dude. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's some bull crap.
That's some bullshit. I don't know what they have there for, here they have what do you call that? The like they have to interview. If you are a veteran and you apply for a city, state, or federal job or whatever, city, state, county, local job, whatever, if it's government, they have to interview you.
They don't have to hire you, but they have to interview you.
They have to interview you. Yep.
Well, that's crazy.
You should have at least got a fuck. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe didn't even, that sucks, dude. Sorry to hear that. And yeah. I don't even know like what they want for that anymore. You know what I mean? I bet you are going to be super IQE. Hold on. We're trying to figure out.
We probably can't do a lot on your side for my echoing. I just need to get a rug.
Well, as part of it. But so for some reason you're like, I don't know. I think you're feeding through twice. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Everyone is listening. Is she feeding through twice, or she just got a little bit of echo from her room?
Yeah, which is, let me know.
I think you should be good though. I got one of them muted because I have two things up here for you now for some reason. So for people who were here last week and probably don't, they know a little bit of what we do. One, I'm horrible at this. But well,
first of all,
there was a bunch of updates to our system. I took we took like 2 weeks off. And over that time,
well, you did like a little bit on your own, didn't you? Do a short show by yourself last week?
Yeah, but I thought we did 2 weeks off, and then that was my short. Like that would have been the third week or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're fucking bad at this whole radio thing. But anyway, they changed a lot of stuff, and so I had to update everything. Like Coach is trying to get on last week and chat with us, and people were trying to like hang out, and I was like, man, I would love to, but this is all fucked up. So now, for some reason, like your feed is coming into my computer like 3 times.
Well, that's just crazy.
Right. But as long as people can hear you.
Yeah. And I'm not like super like crazy bleeding through or something.
Yeah. It just sounds like you're in one fishbowl, but not 2 fishbowls.
Well, that's good.
Perfect.
As long as I'm only in one fishbowl.
Because you just moved into your new joint.
Yeah. And we're not even completely moved in. We're only about half moved in.
Okay. Which isn't horrible.
That's because it keeps raining here and it's hard to move furniture in the rain.
I have to say that. But
stop all day and then but I'm not in the Army anymore, so I don't have to move things. I can stop when it's raining.
Speaking of moving, so my ex, Maddie's mom, my youngest's mom.
Okay. I was about to say, you're going to have to be a little more specific.
Yeah, when I have this many kids, it takes a little bit to figure it out. But anyway, so my ex is moving this next week, over the course of the next week. Tomorrow, we are leaving, right? My wife and I and my other daughter are leaving to go to, she's going to college next year. We have to go do the parent weekend or whatever. Yeah. So we're going to be gone, right? Mm-hmm. And so she's like, can I borrow your truck? I was like, sure, I don't give a shit. And I got it, but then I was like, I started to think about it, like how many people, like, because her and I have been split up for like, well, Anna and I have been married over 4 years, almost 5. So her and I, we've been split up for a minute. So, and I was just thinking about like how many people like let their ex of like 5-6 years fucking borrow their pickup to move and shit.
We had a kid together.
We do, and I
think that's sometimes a little different.
We get along. You know what I mean? We don't hate each other. We get along. We do whatever. We kind of, obviously it hasn't always been the case. Her and I didn't get along the best, but now it's better. So
there you go.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. It's just still kind of weird to not have my vehicle in the driveway.
Like, so odd.
Right. But kind of, it's just sitting in the driveway. I'm gonna be out of town.
There you go.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah, it keeps one of my kids from like jumping in or some shit while I'm gone.
Oh God, yeah.
So
I'm so glad none of mine. I never had that problem. I had good kids. I don't know how. I'm still
I don't know how.
very like. I must have done something good in my past because they're good kids.
Well,
All of
that's
them.
good though.
Yeah, could be a lot worse.
You know, my
Ooh,
kids could be a
dude.
lot worse, but they could be a whole lot fucking better. Does that make sense?
Your kids are all young still. I mean, your oldest is what?
My oldest? Well, yeah, younger than yours, but that doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, it counts. It counts.
Does it?
Yes, supposedly. Because especially the boys, because you know they don't fully mature their brains until they're like 26. Wow. And that's just scientifically. I mean, in all actuality, I don't think my brain has matured all the way yet. Yep.
No, probably not, but that makes it more fun.
No.
So
my son brought me moonshine cherries.
that sounds fun.
Oh, they're disgusting.
Are they? Huh.
They're not disgusting. Okay. They're like, they're cherries because you can see them and smell them. But when you go to, it's like rubbing alcohol. Like you let cherries. Ugh. Okay, don't do that. Oh, that's horrible. Ugh. But you can't swallow it. Oh God. Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that at all. Don't do that at all.
Oh, that is.
Wait, so you're experimenting with them on air? Why don't you take some gummies too and see what happens?
He's got those too if I need them. That was awful.
That sounds disgusting.
It's like it is. It's like a cherry that's been soaking in rubbing alcohol. So there you go. Ugh. Oh Lord, that's awful. Look, my face turns bright red.
My face turns bright red because it's fucking disgusting.
Because it's gross. Oh, look at all the people showed up tonight.
There we go. I love when people show up.
We got Seth here, Richard's here, some names I cannot pronunciate.
That'll happen. Musa?
Someone named Paka. See, and I refuse to say a name if I can't pronounce it because I have a name that's hard to pronounce. And
oh, hold on a second. Seth wants to know, where are we on the Caitlin Clark debacle after she defeated the Chinatown Barbie? First off, who's Chinatown Barbie? Secondly, I'm not good at this.
I don't sports.
I do a little bit. I sports a little bit. I sports more than you. So there's that.
Does she play for NBA or does she play for college?
WNBA. She did.
Well,
She did. She finished college this last year.
Yeah.
Like she just played in the women's, but the college women's basketball starts right after college basketball ends.
Okay. Yeah.
So the WNBA is going on now, and then the men's NBA just finished. They just had their NBA finals, but yeah. Anyway,
I was a major basketball player as a child.
Yeah, because you're stupid tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but I was never good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was never a fan of it, but I played it because my dad liked it. And it was what you did if you were a tall girl.
Yes, that is exactly what you do if you're a tall girl.
And so I just don't follow it as an adult. I don't basketball. I don't. I baseball and I football, but I don't basketball. I've recently discovered rugby. I have no idea how they play the game, but it's sure fun to watch.
It's sure fun to watch. I mean, that's something.
Like an ancestor. Caitlin Clark looks like the ancestor of Larry Bird. Does she really? Do you think she looks like Larry Bird? I haven't seen her. She's somewhere. Oh,
You've never
look.
seen her? She's fine.
There's pictures I'm sure I've seen like on the interwebs, but I don't think I ever went, oh yeah, she looks like Larry Bird. No. I know she like started a whole big swirl. Aren't like there's some rap artists that are like backing her and supporting her or something. I don't know.
You know, I'm not sure.
Eh, mm. Who's Chinatown Barbie though?
That I don't know.
Hey, Holly. Holly's here.
Yay, Holly's here.
Ice Cube. That's right. Ice Cube and the Big Three. And I like me some Ice Cube. He was cool in the 90s. And so
He's still cool. He's still cool.
Well, I mean,
you just stop what you're doing right there.
No, he's still cool. But I mean, like, I originally thought he was cool back in the 90s, like at the club.
Yeah.
And I like Ice Cube. He's totally cool.
and here's my thing with Caitlin Clark, and this is my take on it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you can say what you want about her. I don't think she's no Jordan. Like, let's be honest. She's no Jordan.
But is she a female Jordan?
No.
No, she's not even that. She's not even good enough to be considered the lady Jordan.
Okay, here's the deal. Angel Reese is fucking kind of dog shit too. Here's my thing with all of this whole situation is I really feel as though nobody would give a shit about the WNBA if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark.
Did she just make it a big deal?
She did. Well, she did. She broke a bunch of records in college and da-da-da. There's a big to-do about it, this, that, and the other.
And didn't she make like a bunch of money going into the WNBA?
Hold on. A bunch of money compared to what we make? Or a bunch of money compared
to what women usually make?
Yeah, I think so. She got a big deal from Nike. I don't think she got a ton of money from like, okay, obviously I'm not making fucking $250,000 a year to work literally 6 months out of the year to play a game I love, right? Yeah. That's not that. But she's not making anywhere near what like the fucking, someone, because she's one of the top rated players in the league. Think of like, if you were to take someone like, anybody in the NBA, I think she makes less than the league minimum in the NBA. You're going to have to talk to like Coach or King Smith about the actual numbers of that. But she makes peanuts compared to the men, but she's still making a ton of money for the WNBA.
Well, good for her.
But the ticket, the WNBA doesn't have the revenue that the NBA has.
No.
And so like, and so there was a big controversy about, women's equal pay and this, that, and the other. And I don't want to delve into that. But she's selling out the NBA arenas. They're literally moving games to seat more people. Kind of. They are moving the games because she's selling out the WNBA arenas. But she's not bringing in the kind of money that a Larry Bird is going to make. You know what I mean?
Oh, God, no.
They will never make, this is my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Is this will probably at some point blow over in a year or two. And I'm not saying I think that there's more exposure. I think there should be more exposure. I think there should be. I think women's sports should have as much exposure as men's sports.
Yeah.
But
if there's
potential
no calling
is there
for it, it's hard.
It's also hard. It's also hard. Okay, does she draw money? Sure. Does the league draw enough money to pay all of the women the same amount as the men? And the answer to that is a flat out no.
No.
Like, there might be more people going to Caitlin Clark games, but are there more people going to other fucking games?
Now, maybe she will start a new kind of trend where there's more women coming in and there's more women wanting to play the WNBA, and maybe she'll help this uptick. But you're right; it's nowhere near.
No, and I hope they do. I sincerely hope they do, and I'm not even trying to like talk shit about it, but I hope they do. But then again. And this is my take on all professional sports, men or women, is they're playing a game. Yeah. And I don't think that any of them, from Tom Brady on fucking down, deserves to make billions of dollars to play a game. I just don't. I don't see it. And I like to watch sports. I like all the sports. And actually my wife and I were just talking about that. Like she was talking about, she works at the sports book right now, right? And part of the casino, her shoulder's better to do that. Hey Dave, what's going on, buddy? Like she's working in the sports book part until she's going to have to deal full time. Right. And like, so she's watching, but she's like, yeah, right now I got some baseball games on and I have this, it's like women's gymnastics. And honestly, I like watching women's gymnastics. Like, I honestly think some of the stuff those gymnasts do are more exciting than some of the stuff that basketball players do. When those girls are being all flibbity gibbets, when they're being all flibbity gibbets and flying through the air and shit, that to me is harder than making a three. I'll tell you what, my fat ass can sometimes make a 3-pointer. Guess what my fat ass can't do? Bounce off a balance beam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same.
So,
same here.
I mean, am I NBA material? Absolutely not. I'm short, fat, and white. There's no way I'm ever going to be a fucking pro. And I'm old. But you know what I do know is that those women that do the gymnastics put in just as much time and just as much effort as Caitlin Clark did to play basketball.
Oh yeah.
Or that fucking anybody, male or female. Yeah. Like all those sports require a certain amount of work ethic and require a certain, and honestly, gymnasts have a lot to do with their natural disposition.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, if a girl grows taller than about 5'4", she can't even be a gymnast at that level.
Nope. Or she can't be on a cheerleading squad doing anything more than holding people. You can be the bottom, but you can't be a flyer if you're over a certain height because it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Phil said, there's all kinds of stuff.
Phil said, I just looked up how much another WNBA player, Casey Plum, makes. Only $400K a year for a 2-year extension to the Las Vegas team. The players make peanuts compared to men. I agree.
Yes.
I agree they do. And that you're not going to get that argument from me. But what I am curious about is, how much, and this is where it gets, and I saw coaches and I hope that he can fucking maybe throw a little bit in here. Mountain Dew will make you fat. It's Diet Dew. Haha, joke's on me. And it's still fat. Anyway. David's right. The money has taken over professional sports, but media and marketing and TV has become the Truman Show and the Hunger Games. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But we wrap ourselves up in that to ignore what the fuck's going on with the rest of the world. You know what I mean? Like, I love my wife to death. But if I put on 5 minutes of the fucking war in Ukraine and she's fucking, I don't even want to hear about it. I don't want nothing to do with it. It's over there. Da, 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 da. But you put on you put on a soccer game. You put on the fucking Columbus Crew.
Yep.
She's all about it.
It.
Yep. Sports Bar says the WNBA was subsidized by the NBA for 28 years. Yeah, and probably still is, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's fine too. I'm not even saying I'm not even saying that it shouldn't be. But I think that sports like Major League Baseball should also be fucking supporting, like, I don't know. I think there should be like one big ass pool for all professional sports, whether it be the MLS guys or fucking whoever. You know what I mean? You put in MLS, you put in gymnastics, you put in fucking beach volleyball, put in golf. Yeah. 'Cause I don't know who the fuck's actually watching golf. Like, who the fuck, like.
They're people. My grandpa used to watch it.
Fucking NASCAR. Yeah, Broncos. Welcome to the Roman Coliseum. I'm a gladiator there to watch NASCARs. Fuck yeah. It's the same shit. Like, honestly, fucking, I tell you what, and I don't even know, like, tomorrow, I'm going to drive basically nonstop from here to Sioux Falls, which is a 6-hour drive, right? Fucking NASCAR drivers don't drive for 6 hours fucking straight. They drive for like 4. And you know what? They get paid fucking millions of dollars. You know how much I'm going to have to pay? I have to pay for my 6-hour fucking drive.
And you're going to be racing against everybody and your GPS.
Yep. Sports Bar, I'm making the same argument. I don't ever want to hear about the money argument about women's sports and men's. All athletes are paid too much. Abso-fucking-lutely they are.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I believe that 100%.
And here's the thing though, like, we encourage it when we watch the games, when we bet on the games, when we buy the jerseys, when we buy the fucking hats, we encourage, it's self-fulfilling. I like watching football. I like watching some basketball and actors. Fuck yeah. And actors.
I like watching men's high dive diving.
Yes. But
All
I
those
think,
pools
but
are
I think
heated.
like television royalties for those kind of things. Because like I said, if I turn on a gymnastics program,
Mhm.
or if I turn on fucking Major League Baseball, Major League Baseball is getting fucking shit tons of money, and that college gymnastics girl isn't getting dick.
Yeah.
Well, she's probably getting dick, but she's not getting any money. But that's just I wish they could find a way. I think they should legalize steroids. Yes, absolutely. Parker's onto something, and hear me out on this one. Sports Bar, hopefully you're still here. I want your fucking opinion on this. Okay. When you buy a ticket to a baseball game, football game, hockey game, soccer game, name the game, you buy a fucking ticket to see a performance, okay? They're called performance-enhancing drugs for a reason.
For that reason.
And that's what they should fucking do. And okay, if you want to have, okay, and I understand, there's sanctity records. Okay, first off, half those dudes were juicing back then too. But okay, we'll take the Major League Baseball for a second, right? So, you take someone like a Babe Ruth or a fucking Hank Aaron or whatever. Name the fucking pre-1980s baseball player that had this record, that record, da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, and you take their records, and you can still sanctify someone like a Hank Aaron. Okay, I'm not saying you can't, right? Now, you have like a separate record book for like juice, and you fucking pump them full of like every fucking steroid on the foot. You can have 2 leagues if you want. Have like
a natural league and a steroid league.
Have the American League be like the enhanced league, and then the fucking national league can be the natural league, or whatever the fuck you want to do. Figure it out. Yeah, the Juice League. That's right. And fucking squeeze the juice, baby. Fucking hook them up. I want to see fucking 7 foot, 300-pound, 2% body fat fucking monsters cranking fucking 700-foot home runs. That's what I want to see. I want to see one of those fucking dudes hit a baseball so hard it knocks over a building like fucking 9/11. That's what I want to see. Then they have them fucking, instead of baseballs, have them hit fucking like bowling balls. I don't give a shit. Fill them full of fucking lead, and that's the fucking balls that get out there. Legalize steroids? Yes. Not to mention what it does to the brain. Yes, exactly. Fuck their brains. They're getting paid millions of dollars to hit lead-filled fucking bowling balls into fucking buildings. That's what I want to see.
You want extreme.
Yes, I'm going to see an athletic. I don't want to see an athletic competition. I want to see a performance. Yes, kind of like wrestling. Kind of like the fucking WWE. We all know it's fucking bullshit. I know that fucking it takes more than that to break a fucking metal chair. I understand that. But I want to see fucking, I don't know. Yes, Barry Bonds and Jason Giambi 2.0. Yes. I want to see them smashing fucking 700. I want to see 1,000-foot homer.
You boys are crazy.
Yes. Yes, it'll be the 88 Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa home run competition. Yes, exactly. Bossia. Have them fucking, have weird contests. You know, like trap shooting where they shoot the things in the air and you got to hit them with a shotgun. Have them do that with baseballs. But like have them like drones and shit. Yes, do that. That's what I'm talking about. And put up and then what we need to do, okay, hear me out for safety reasons. People are going to want to see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to put up like, instead of like the home run fences, no, you got to put up like the plexiglass in like hockey games.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So bystanders don't get hurt.
Yeah. We don't want to hurt anybody.
Well, of course not. That'd be silly.
Yeah. We just need to fucking have 1,000-foot home runs. That's perfect.
Yep. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. The same out of the NFL. Yeah. Okay. Who remembers the game NBA Jam? Who remembers that game from like fucking PlayStation, from like PlayStation 1?
I remember it.
Where the dudes would literally catch on fire and flip through the fucking air, and P-Funk was there for some reason. Like fucking George Clinton out there playing basketball. We need that in real fucking life. And put Clayton Clark on that shit. I don't fucking care. He's on fire. Yes, that. We need that in real life. And people would fucking sign up for that shit.
My gosh.
Most of Russia's Olympic team used to be the Juice League. Most of their athletes are not alive today. Yes, exactly. But that's just it. Why should we care? Just do sports like they did on the Jetsons. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then someone said horse racing. Yes, and give the horses the juice too.
Nah, because then PETA will get involved.
Fuck them too. I don't know. I like NFL Blitz more. You get fuck up players in that game. Yes.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah, so when all these athletes die of heart attacks at 28, bear their wives, act like assholes, and have their records tainted, yes, who's paying their families? They are with their fucking salaries. They're going to get paid millions of dollars. That's the exchange rate. I think of the same thing with my fucking VA disability, right? I get money because my quality of life is poor and it's going to be shorter, right? So the VA is like, sorry about it, here's some fucking money. Same thing. They're getting paid
NFL
fucking
should
million.
do that.
Like, look at fucking, yes. Yes.
They get NFL disability.
Yes. Sports Center jacked up segment. Yes. And it was fucking just fucking bench pressing like he's out there swinging a Volvo at fucking baseballs.
See, now you people know why we aren't the sports bar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because Radar turned this into like the Hunger Games.
Would your kids rather have $1 million or Radar as a dad? Don't ask my kids. They'd take the fucking money.
Yeah.
My kids would absolutely
Well,
take the fucking.
They're like, we love you, but that's $1
Yes.
million.
Patrick said, I'm sorry, sir. The league commissioner must fine and suspend you for 3 games because you only tested positive for 3 drugs, which is less than the 5 or more per league rules. Yes. Yes. Get them
You
out there,
guys
just
are
fucking.
twisted.
They get out there and just fucking rail a line and fucking freebase and some fucking bullshit. And they get up there and fucking, yes, crush
You
a
guys are
1,000-foot
bonkers.
homer. And have some dude fly through the air to catch it. Like he's got like he jumps 30 feet in the air and catches the lead baseball. Yes.
Oh my Lord.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
It ain't right.
I know it ain't right. That's what, and then you could have like the boring ass fucking regular ass baseball league, like an American league or National League, whatever you decided to want to be. And they can just like go there and take 45 minutes between pitches and fucking, yeah. Mm-hmm. Just do whatever they want to do. That's why they have 2 fucking leagues. Make one exciting, one fucking whatever.
Too much, too soon.
Oh, all right.
Who started this? I'm going back in the things.
No,
Whose
we don't
fault
do
is
that.
this?
We don't go back and check things out.
Whose fault is this?
So I'll show my latest and greatest fucking thing that I did.
Uh-oh. What'd you do?
Hold on, I'll show you.
Well, I'm holding.
Check it out. I finished this one the other day. And instead of doing airplanes, I did a little tank. It's actually it's a Gepard. No, it's a anti-aircraft gun. It's the ones that the Germans gave the Ukrainians, right? And so I'm in this group build and I'm in this build like with other modelers that like are building like Ukrainian subjects, and I thought that was a cool one. So, yeah. So I did. Mm-hmm. Did ya? Well, that'll happen. Yeah, but like I did the little camouflage net on it and stuff. I wish. I know it actually came out really good. I was really happy with it, and like the little dirt on it and stuff, and like yeah, there's like tutorials you can do on the that you can watch on the internet, but basically like okay, so like the dirt on it is just like I paid way too much money for a jar of dirt. And then you put it on with the paintbrush. It's just like it's like the same consistency as like talcum powder. And then you just like you put it on with your little paintbrush. And there's like some paint. It's called paint modulation. Like if you look on like the bat deck, there's like some darker greens and stuff. That's all paint. But like on the tracks and the wheels and stuff, that's all dust. And on the top and like some of the cracks, yeah. So, yes. Oh no, they said we lost audio. Why did we lose audio?
I don't know. Did you lose me in my
Oh
back?
shit, I know why we lost audio.
Did you mute me?
No, I didn't know. God damn it, because the scene doesn't have hold on. The scene doesn't have our voices on it. Yep, that's the fucking scene, doesn't it? How the fuck do I change that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I know what I.
That's
Minx and C.
crazy.
Yeah, the OBS scene didn't have her input. It didn't have mine either, did it? Why does it not have your input on that?
I don't know.
I don't know either because I'd never had to do that before.
No. So they apparently heard you talking and me. They didn't hear talking, so they didn't hear about the fact that I gave up on my cross stitch.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Oh yeah, just had yours, not mine. Well, that's weird.
that's so weird. I got to figure out how to fix that
Okay.
because I don't know. I don't know why that was a thing. Because that was
Yeah,
fucking.
that was weird.
Because that's never been a problem before. That's weird. Hold on.
Very
I think I know how to fix it though. Because we have to have it fixed by the time we get our guest on, or no one's good. It's just, everyone's just going to hear me and not the guest, which that would suck because nobody comes here to listen to me. Let's see, chat. There he goes. Hold on. Now we're gonna go back.
He's gonna have to fix it.
I need to make sure we have it fixed, or else no one's gonna be able to hear shit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try it again.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Try it now.
I'm
Keep talking.
We'll see. Let us know, people. Let us know if you can hear me talking.
Yeah, we should be able to. I can see you're moving on the thing.
Oh, okay.
All right. So you should be good. You should be good to go. Anyway, so that's my little tanky tank.
Oh, he said better.
Tight.
Yay!
All right. Yeah, because I have to. Otherwise, we won't be able to hear you or the guests when I switch the scenes.
Oh, yep. No, Dick. My son says you're good. It's working.
All right. But yeah, so there's my little tanks, my little tanky tanks. I'm excited at those. I'm happy.
Yeah, you did a good job on that one. I'm
Thanks.
very proud of you.
Thanks, buddy. So,
yeah, you have way more attention than I do. I just give up.
You know, I was thinking, like, I don't know, like it's been kind of weird, like the whole fucking doing that shit.
It's cool though.
It's interesting. I don't know if "cool" is the name I'd use, but
well, it's cool to me.
oh,
I couldn't do it.
Really?
Yeah, no, I couldn't do it. Mm-mm. Nope.
I could probably like show you how to do it sometime, but it's like a lot. It's actually not easy.
My grandpa did airplanes.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you know, he was in the Air Force, and he had tons of them, and he was real big into model airplanes for years. But I don't have the patience, nor do I have the attention span.
I did this one.
Which one? Let me see.
Oh, hold on. Let me get it going. Transition. I finished this one the other day too.
Was that your little stand?
That's my little standy stand. Yeah.
Very cool. Does it spin?
It does.
rotate?
It spins. Yep.
Now that's cool.
So yeah,
That's
that
a
one's
nice
pretty
one.
neat. I tried. Well, it didn't come out. Okay, so that one. Okay, so remember I told you when I first started that, like they look like shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that one, I started. That was the first plane I started to work on when I got back into modeling.
Very cool.
And it didn't paint it. It was all fucked up. It was all like part of it was broken, and like so I went and I had to order like the decals for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I ordered the decals and I repainted it and did all the stuff, and that's how it finally turned out.
nice.
So, yeah, so it looks decent now, but it looked like fucking dog shit when I first did it.
Yeah, it turned out really good though with all the improvements you made on it. Check that sucker
Oh,
out.
David. Okay, he said that double barrel tank would last 5 minutes and you can carry those killer drones. That's the anti-aircraft gun they've been giving this shit to. Like they've been giving them a bunch of them. They shoot down the big drones. They put them around. They're anti-aircraft drones or anti-aircraft guns. So.
They got those from the Germans, right?
Yep. They're from the Germans. They're on a. God, I'm gonna nerd out. They're on a Leopard 1A5 chassis. Or Leopard 1 chassis. And
You're like, I'm gonna nerd out.
yeah, and they
You're
put those
nerding out.
they put those two guns under, and it's got like different radar. It's got like two different kinds of radar on it and stuff, and yeah, but that's their self-propelled anti-aircraft gun.
Cool.
The Gepard, they call it.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
Very cool.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's that. That's
Mhm.
cool. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing with my life.
Yeah, I've just been moving.
Well, that's good though.
I realized that moving without the assistance of the military is a lot harder.
I was gonna say easier.
No.
Really?
No, because no one is showing up to my house to pack all my crap up, load it into a truck, and then deliver it.
That's true.
Okay, so I'm packing all the stuff up and delivering it across town to the new place. I mean, luckily, we're not in a time crunch. Like, I don't have to be out of the old house anytime, there's no time frame because, like, no one's moving into it. We're just going to clean it up and sell it.
Right.
So, I mean, but we are literally doing this car load full to car load full. And then we borrowed a trailer from a friend for the furniture.
Yeah.
But it's a lot. And I will never move again. You will drag my body out of this house. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
This is it. This is the house forever.
David said you need some starving students to help you move.
Yeah, I do. Or some privates, but none of those are around here. So
Patrick said, are you going to lose a few boxes and damaged furniture to get that familiar military move experience?
I did find some military moving stickers still on some of my furniture. Does that count?
That means it's time to get new furniture.
Probably.
Yes.
Although the furniture that the stickers are on are the newest furniture to me. So it's the furniture I got in my last duty station. So everything is a minimum of 13 years old. No, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
good
16
though.
is not old.
That's good though. Like it means you're like responsible and don't get like break your own shit.
I'm trying not to so far, knock on wood.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Nothing yet. But don't hold your breath.
I won't.
I have broken some hangers.
Oh yeah. That's the thing.
Just the tops right off those plastic hangers just snap right off. So I have broken some of those.
So Dick said his company moved him from Texas to Iowa. Professional movers. Crazy thing happened. He got all of his stuff and nothing was broken.
Yeah.
So
and
you
like
gotta
my
do.
son says, duct tape fixes everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong. That's not an inaccuracy, but
Yeah. We've got lots of rubber cement and wood glue and duct tape.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So there you go. Yeah, if it hadn't been raining, they would have been moving tonight. But Texas is getting some weird rain right now.
I heard that. I heard
Yeah.
you guys are getting kind of.
There's something going on in the Gulf Coast near Mexico, and we're getting the tail end of it.
Well, we're supposed to get a little bit of storms like this week. Double check.
Mm.
They were saying it like the other. I haven't checked the radar for a while. I probably should have did that before I gave my truck away. Oh yeah, 30% chance of storms tomorrow. 70% chance on Friday.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah, while I'm driving.
And we had like 100% chance today, and I think we have like a 70% chance tomorrow. I was looking it up earlier. And so they probably won't be moving tomorrow either.
Ah, shit.
Rain tomorrow is, it's saying like
Yeah, where I'm going.
fairly decent.
It doesn't even say
82%.
It doesn't even say chance. It just says thunderstorms. Chance of rain 90%. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, 82% here tomorrow.
Well, there you
go. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Dick said maybe if they built that wall, stuff would quit coming up from Mexico. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
be a pretty
that'll
fucking
do
big
it.
glass wall, wouldn't it? That'd be fucking.
Yeah, all the way up into the atmosphere. That'll work.
So,
Good Lord.
we have a guest next hour.
We do have a guest.
We
next
do.
hour.
John David Bethel will be here.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to start with a caveat. Okay. We remember the flag that's on the wall, the Marine Corps flag, right? I'm not a reader.
Mhm.
I'm not a reader. I'm
Not
a
a reader.
doer. I'm a doer. I'm not a reader. I'm a doer.
You're a doer. Mhm.
No rain in California, just fires. Damn, dude, that sucks. And they need to get that shit put out. Eventually, okay, hold on a minute. Stop. Full stop. Every summer, there's massive fires in California. Eventually, everything's got to burn up, dude. Eventually, they got to run out and just burn. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, anyway, back to the story. So, I don't know, like, and I've done some research on the guy. Like, I'm not a jerk. I'm not like, oh, I don't read. I don't need to do this guy. But I feel bad, like, they didn't give me enough, like, proper time to, like, download the audiobook and, like, listen to it at work or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but it's whatever. But he's more than just a novelist.
Yeah.
He
He was like over 30 years. He worked in Congress and in the congressional offices.
Yeah.
In politics and government and stuff. He wrote for a lot of.
Yeah, he wrote some like speeches and like,
for congressmen.
That's fucking
stuff. So he does a lot of that stuff, and then he kind of parlayed that writing into book writing.
Yes, I'm curious as to like what his background and education and stuff like that is to like kind of figure out like what that's just that. Okay, so normally we get people on who I kind of can chart their progression, right? So we'll go back to someone like a Mark Ridge, right?
Yeah,
he was like. He was airborne and he fucking played his guitar when he was overseas and fucking enjoyed it. And when he was in Germany, he was like playing guitars and like hanging out and doing cool shit. And now he like parlayed that into working. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, hold on a second. Our guest is here early.
Yeah. I see that. Well, do you want to go ahead and take a break now?
Yeah, we'll just take a break now. We'll transition in, get them all set up, and we'll be back. We'll be back early. We never come back early.
I don't even know who we are.
I don't either. But speaking of Mark Ridge, we'll play some Mark Ridge on our way out. And we'll be back about 5 minutes or so. All right, shots.
Come on out, 1965, them boys were called upon. Some fist-fighting cowboys in them jungles of Vietnam. I'm an airborne man, baby. Drop me anywhere you please. Yeah, I'm one mean motherfucker. Don't you never double-cross me. 19 years old, doing the bidding for Uncle Sam. Desert boots strapped on my feet, machine gun in my head. I'm an airborne man, baby. Drop me anywhere you please. Y'all, I'm one mean motherfucker. Don't you never double cross me. Come on out. Strapped across my vest, 800 more, and I'm gonna pluck one in your chest. I'm an airborne man, baby. Drop me anywhere you please. Y'all, I'm one mean motherfucker. Don't mean motherfucker. Don't you never. I'm a mean motherfucker. So don't you never double cross me.
Hey, everybody, we're back with our guest, John David Bethel. David, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get started on the interview a little bit. So can you kind of tell the audience like a little bit about yourself and if you have any connections to the military? You know, we are a military-based program, so just kind of give us a little intro about yourself.
Okay. Well, no, I don't have anything to do with the military per se. My dad was in the Foreign Service, which is a branch of the State Department. It's affiliated with the State Department. So maybe that we're all government related here, I guess. I spent my first 14 years overseas, basically traveling with my parents, my family, from various places in Europe, Germany, various cities in Germany, then over to Japan for about 5 years, 3 cities in Japan. We wound up, my dad retired after we ended up in Cuba for 2 years, and then he retired, and I finally came back to the States at that point. I was 14 years old, never lived in the States. We had come back to the States periodically. So I was familiar that there was a United States. I mean, for all of us kids living overseas who had no direct connection to the States, that is, we didn't live in the States. The United States was kind of a I don't know, pie in the sky. It was it was a wonderful place that we just visited and then left real quickly. So for me, having an opportunity to finally live in the United States was wonderful. But mostly, when we came back, we went to New York because my mother was born and raised in Brooklyn. So we spent whenever we came back, we went to New York, to Brooklyn. So that was my experience basically in the United States. Although I did spend when I was real little, before we went to Japan, I spent 6 months in Hawaii, and then we were off to Japan. Now, prior to that, after that, in my adult life, I worked as a speechwriter and strategic communication strategist in Washington for various senators and congressmen, and then worked in the Reagan and Bush administration. So in a quick snapshot, that's me.
That's quite the backstory. So
that's a pretty cool snapshot, sir.
Yeah.
So it was an unusual upbringing. I'll give you that.
So how long did you live in Japan then?
We were there for 5 years. We were in Germany for 3, and we were in Cuba for about 2.5.
Wow,
nice.
That's insane. That's a very I couldn't even imagine. Like I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Iowa, so it's like the very polar opposite of that. Did you feel like you missed out as a kid growing up in that environment, or did you see it like as a never-ending adventure?
Well, of course, I had no relative experience. Most of the kids I was traveling, so I figured everybody did that.
Okay,
I didn't know any better. Most of the kids that I knew and spent time with in all those different places, their fathers, mothers, whoever, were either in the military or the Foreign Service. So we were in the same boat. Now, reflecting back on it now, I think I totaled up sometime that I was in school, 10 different schools before I even made it to high school. So, it was a hell of an experience. And later on, reflecting back on it, I can see how it broadened my perspective on life in general. I was, generally, I was the minority in everywhere I went because, I was the American in the Japanese society. I was the American in the Cuban society, and the foreigner, basically the conqueror, part of the army and State Department when we were in Germany. So it was a very broadening experience for me. And I as an adult reflecting back on it, I see how fortunate and how lucky I was. Although growing up, sometimes changing schools every couple of months, sometimes a year you were in a school. I lost large swaths of education because there were sometimes weeks or months at a time that I wasn't in school. So my parents filled in the gaps for that by having me read voraciously. And that's how I got into writing, basically. That I love to read. And I figured, well, I think I'll try the writing part of this. And that's how I ended up writing, I guess.
Well, that leads me into the next question: is how you got started. So, I'm actually I kind of want to go chronological order a little bit. So, obviously, you went to college, right? I assume to get into a
Yes.
position in Washington, you have to go to some sort of to education, not just like, oh, you barely graduated high school, you went to 20 different schools. Here, let's sign you up for DC. Although, in all fairness, some people on Capitol Hill know. I wonder if they even know how to read. But,
It's understandable.
but okay. So, how did you like intern? How did you land the gig writing speeches in Washington? How did that all play out?
Well, like most people, you fall into things. I mean, I didn't have a career trajectory that sent me into Washington. What happened was, after I think it was my senior year in high school. After my senior year in high school, I worked as an intern in Washington in the office of the senator from Florida. His name was Ed Gurney, and I spent a summer there. Now, I had just graduated.
Oh, freezing up.
Uh-oh.
I loved writing. Law, you get to write a lot, so I figured, well, that might be a good way to get into it. And I had kind of journalism as a fallback. If I didn't like law school, I figured, well, I could quit and go to journalism school. But while I was in Washington, I discovered that these people need speechwriters. They need press secretaries to write their, press releases, and they need writers to write their floor statements, to write their testimony before Congress. All of that kind of seeped in that summer, that these people need writers. So I went back to Washington, found a job in Washington, and went from there. So that's kind of how that happened. Now, how I got into fiction writing. Once I decided that I'd had enough of working a day job, professionally for 30 years, I decided, I think, well, what I'm going to do in my retirement is see if I can write a novel. And sure enough, 12 novels later, here I am.
Now, okay, so your novel experience, right? Right now you're on 12, or you've written 12. Do you have any more that you haven't published?
There are two that are with my agent.
Okay.
And she's walking them around to various publishers. Mapping the Night, the most recent one, was published just June 1st, a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you write these novels, you obviously have a lot of experience with, through 30 years of everything. How do you base your stories? Do you have like, is it sort of based in your experience? Is it based in like certain characters based on this person that you know, and you kind of, how does that work? How do you visualize that enough, I guess, to write a whole novel about it?
Well, for my psychological thrillers, I guess you have to divide my writing into two separate genres. One is political thrillers, the one you read, Evil Town. That was a political thriller, and I say I mean Teasy.
Teasy.
The one you read,
I'm the reader.
Yeah, it was a political thriller. So that's I think I've written 5 of those and maybe 6 or 7 psychological thrillers. So for the psychological thrillers, usually they're all based on true crime. Mm-hmm. It's not that I sat down and made up a crime and went from there. They're all based on true crimes that I've read about. That, for instance, I'm watching TV and I look at, I'm watching and say, oh, that's interesting, and I'll go back and figure out, exactly what happened, and then I can fictionalize it and write a novel. For instance, Mapping the Night, the one we just mentioned. Mm-hmm. About a year ago, I picked up the New York Times, and I was just reading the New York Times, and I read an article about there was a domestic call on an apartment, a welfare call on an apartment in New York, because a woman hadn't been seen in a few days, and her son hadn't been to school, so her neighbors were concerned. They called the cops. Cops go into her apartment. She's unfortunately dead. She's been strangled raped and strangled, and her son is her 3 or 4 or 5-year-old son is sitting next to the bed, putting ice on her face because he's hoping he can revive her. This is what she used to do when he was sick. She would put ice on his head. So he was doing that. And you can imagine that's a very haunting scene for these policemen to walk in on. And he's of course apoplectic. He's asking them, "You got to help her. The ice isn't doing the job." And then the cops, further into the crime, the cops, the forensic people came in and they noticed that the place was clean, not just clean as in, the perpetrator wanted to get rid of his fingerprints and so on and so forth. It was clean as in immaculate. And further crimes committed by this guy. They did some investigation. They found out that there was the MO of this crime matched a bunch of others. They figured out he was a serial killer. He did the same thing in every instance. He killed them, raped them, and he picked on women, single mothers who had young boys, and he would clean their apartment. So I took all of those elements, put them together, and created Mapping the Night. Now, when I go to sit down to write a novel, I don't know how it's going to end. Sometimes I don't even know what the next chapter is going to be. I call it by the seat of my pants. For instance, in Mapping the Night, that first scene, I sat down and wrote it. And then I just figured out, well, where would things go from here? And that's how I created that novel. And I do that for most of my novels. For instance, another one, Wretched, is based on, I don't know if you've ever heard of Rex McElroy. Ken Rex McElroy in Missouri was a bully in his town for 30 years. He actually raped women, and he stole livestock. He robbed stores. He just made life miserable for many of the people in that town. So after 30 years, and I can't believe they waited 30 years, they decided they were going to get rid of him. So they had a little meeting, and they decided how they were going to do it. They waited until he came into town. He stepped out of his truck. There were 30 people around the truck, and 2 of them had live rounds. Although everybody had a gun, just 2 of them had live rounds. They shot him, killed him, and then the 30 people disappeared, gone. To this day, they don't know who shot him. The FBI has investigated, the state has investigated, the local people have investigated. They've never been able to figure out who did it. So I took that element and I turned it into the novel Wretched, and that's how I do things.
And then so you don't you just go. That's great. I've always thought and obviously I'm a Marine. I can barely read, right? So I always wondered. I always thought that I think of if I were to write a book, I would write I tell stories. We all have stories that from our time in service or whatever. We have these stories, and we know how they start, we know how they end, and you fill in the middle. And I didn't realize that you just I don't know, went with it. Just kind of we do the show. You don't really. I mean, for the Bully book, the one you're just talking about, did you know do you build to what you know and then fill in the middle, or do you just take the auspice of the story?
No, as I said, I don't do that. A lot of people do that. They actually do outlines, and they adhere very strictly to the outline, so they even know where they're going.
Yeah, they
have backstories for all their characters and everything else. No, I don't do that. I start where I start, and eventually I'll reach an end, and I'll realize, okay, this is the end. This is what I've been building. This is what I've been building to, but I don't know it until I get there. I don't know how my book is going to end. I have no clue until I get the characters in the middle of the story, and I put them in various situations that I think logically flow from what I've written so far.
Right.
And then, and then it all comes out, it's a miracle.
Wow, that's amazing. That blows me away. I'm actually flabbergasted because, like I said, I had no clue that anyone could do that. Could tell such a vivid story and just have it be I don't know, seat of your pants
organic
stuff. Yeah, so organic,
very organic.
Yeah, actually, I think I could be mistaken, but I think that Stephen King writes that way. I don't think Stephen King sits down with a big outline and all this other stuff. I think he too starts with an idea and just sees where it's going to go.
Wow.
See, now I know the other side because my sister-in-law is a writer, and I've seen her little boards and that have the line from this character to this character. And then she gives a little background to the different characters in her books, and her books are completely different than yours. They're more on the romance side of the house, but wow, I just, that's pretty cool. You're just very organic about it. That's really, really neat.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to do that once. When I first started writing, I figured that people wrote like that they went with the outlines and they went with the character studies and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So I started that way. I had a notebook and I had everything all written out in the notebook. And then I sat down to write and I figured this is boring. I mean, I know where I'm going here. It takes the fun out of it for me. I want to write the way I read. When I read, I want to be, I can't wait to get to the next page. What's going to happen on the next page? Well, that's the way I write. What's going to happen here with this guy? I put him in a situation. How's he going to react? This is how he'd react because this is the kind of character he is. And, and I go from there. I'm in the middle of a story when I'm writing. And my wife says, you're gone. You're lost to me for 4 to 5 months out of the year because you're in the middle of this fiction story. And even when you come out of your room, you're still thinking about it. You're still planning the next day, what you're going to do the next day. So you're pretty much lost to me for half the year.
Right. So you said 4 or 5 months is about what it takes for you to write a story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it takes about 4 to 5 months.
Very cool.
Now Evil Town, the one you read, took me about a year because I was working at the time. Plus, I'd never written a novel. So, you don't, just like anything else you do, you guys have figured out over the period of all the times you've done these conversations, how they should go, the questions you should ask, even if you get an unexpected answer, where you go from there. Well, it's the same thing with my writing. It's by experience. If you get yourself in a bind, what you have to do when you're writing something on a page. So, long-winded way of saying, Evil Town took me a year. My novels now take me 4 or 5 months, and it's based on experience. I know how to write now. I didn't know how to write when I was writing Evil Town.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I'm going to swing
and
back.
Hopefully, you would see that now that you've read Evil Town, read one of my other books.
Well, I've got your newest book already ordered. So it's on its way from Amazon. So I will be able to see the difference from your very first one to your most recent one. Pretty soon.
You may say, well, geez, that Evil Town was a piece of crap. I didn't even know how bad it was.
It was a good book. It was a really good. I read it in one night. I mean, it kept my attention.
Really? Oh, well, as I said, I'm humbled. I'm flattered.
It was definitely worth reading.
Do you go back and think like, I could have did better? Like you just talking about?
I never go back.
Okay.
Once I'm finished with a book, I'm done and I'm on to the next one. Now, obviously, I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't have to market the book that I've just written. So I'm not completely finished with Mapping the Night, but I never go back and read books. Now, sometimes I will see one on the shelf in a library or someplace, and I'll pick it out and I'll just open to a random page and read something and think to myself, well, that's terrible, or that's pretty good. But no, I would never sit down and read an entire book, one of my books again.
Okay.
Cool.
So
good to know.
So it takes you, say, 4 or 5 months to write one, and then how long does it take to go from the point where you've written it and you say, "I'm done with this book. This novel is great. This is what I want it to be," and you hand it off? Then where does it go, and what does that look like to you then?
Okay, when I finish a book, I send it to my agent.
Mm-hmm.
She takes a look at it, and she might have some suggestions of her own that that this character needs to be fleshed out a little bit more, or did you realize there's a plot hole here? There's no way that you can get this guy from here to there. You haven't filled that in yet. So not often, but sometimes she'll read a book and she'll send it back to me with those suggestions. Then when she's satisfied and she wants to represent it, she'll then send it off to a publisher and request that they take a look at it and see if it's something they want to publish. Now, that process, I mean, from her hands to the publisher, could take a year before any publisher decides they want to do something with it. Now, when a publisher decides he or she wants to do something with it, it could take them another 6 months before they decide exactly what editor they want to give it to, because they have various editors at these publishing houses, who then will work with me to polish the book. Now, some books take more polishing than others. Some books you just say, well, that's fine. You left out a period here, or you should have a comma there, and you misspelled this word or that. real quick. Other times it's, this whole chapter is screwed up. You really got to rewrite this entire chapter. So a long-winded way of saying it, I don't think there are any set timetables to these things. It takes as long as it takes.
Right. But if an editor looks at, say, this chapter and it doesn't fit, it doesn't flow, it doesn't whatever, they give it back to you to fix. So you still have that creative, dissidence there where you can be like, this is mine. You don't send it to somebody and they like completely rewrite it, put your name on it. And...
No.
Okay.
No. They would never do that, and I'd never allow them to do that. And
Right.
there are times when an editor has said this chapter needs to be rewritten, and I'll say no, it doesn't.
Right.
And we've reached an impasse. And you have to negotiate. There have been other times when they'll say this chapter needs to be rewritten, and I'll say, you're absolutely right. I totally blew that.
Right.
So it's a negotiation.
Okay. David Cunningham asks, is there any past authors that have inspired your writing?
Well, as I mentioned, when I was a child traveling around the world, missing large swaths of education, my parents made me read everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was most impressed and enjoyed Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald were my favorites when I was growing up. Now, I don't write like either one of them. I wouldn't even begin to compare myself to them. That would be ridiculous. But those are the ones that I enjoyed reading, and the ones that I guess you could say inspired me to want to write. I enjoyed reading them so much I wanted to be able to write. Now, as I said, I don't write like them. I write more. If you're looking for maybe someone that I write like these days, do I read that person and then get something back from them? I read everything. I don't think I read anybody as that inspires me or anything along those lines, but I will read, for instance, David Baldacci. I don't know if that name means anything to you. John Grisham, of course, probably does. I'll read, and other people, Richard Rousseau, who writes, a lot, but his books are more humorous, on the humorous side. So to answer your question, Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald inspired me. Today, I just read anything, and I guess I allow myself to inspire myself.
Right. So you said you still read today. How do you feel like that's part of your process, or is it a way to like cleanse your palate? Like what kind of drives that a little bit?
What I read?
Yeah,
the type,
the type you read, or what you read, or if you walk into a Barnes and Noble right now, you're like, I need a new book. Where am I going? Do you like just completely go off the path of your normal stuff, or do you like try to read more thriller type novels, the same stuff that you'd write?
I think I probably gravitate to thrillers. It would be disingenuous to say, no, I go straight for the classics. No, I don't do that. I will go look, the thriller site, and generally I'll pick up a book. And if the first paragraph, makes me want to go to the second paragraph, and then I find myself reading into the second page, then I'll continue reading. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't have a specific author that I go to that in the library or in a bookstore.
Okay.
It's just kind of random. I wish I had a more ingenious way to explain it, but like my writing, my reading is also very random.
Very eclectic, very just kind of all over the place, kind of. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So when you talk to your readers, right? What do you when you're writing this book, when you're writing any of your books, what do you want the reader to take away from it? Or do you even think about that, or you just write the story and go?
I don't think I write with that in mind.
Okay.
What do I want my reader to take away with them? That would probably be a little a little too sophisticated to hope that a reader would read my book and take anything from it. Although that said, I try to put as much reality in my books as I can. For instance, all of my books that are psychological thrillers, I do a hell of a lot of research in order to make the book real. And perhaps the answer to that question would be, I'm hoping that they will take away the fact that these kinds of things happen, and you have to be aware of it. You have to have a broad enough perspective about life to understand that these kind of things happen. And since I write thrillers, psychological thrillers, I'm writing about both ends of the spectrum, the law and order side and the basically the psychological deviant side. So that's a broad spectrum of people of subject matter for people to get into. So I'm hoping that along the way somewhere in there they will take away, and I'm not writing for them to take away a message, but that we live basically by our better angels, that not everything in life is lollipops and roses. However, if you listen to your better angels, in the end the right things will happen.
Right.
If that makes any sense. That's kind of off the cuff response to that. I hadn't given that a whole lot of thought, because I don't, as I said, I don't write for people to take something away necessarily.
Right. Well, because I mean, like when I read a book like that, sometimes you catch yourself kind of, I don't know, you're rooting for the cops to catch the guy, or you're rooting for the guy to get away. Or, you kind of pick a side, I guess, a little bit. And I don't know if that makes any sense. Like,
I don't think my novels, and maybe Teasy can tell us, she as a reader, they're not black and white. There's a lot of gray in there, especially in politics. And you have to be able, as a reader, to understand, there may be a lot of gray, but there is right and wrong, and you have to be able to decide who you stand with. As you say, rooting for the good guy or the bad guy. Even in my psychological thrillers, there's a lot of gray. It doesn't come down to, okay, the good guys won or the bad guys lost. Generally, it's, thank God it ended the way it did. It could have been a lot worse, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
See, and I don't know. Like I said, I harp on my children a lot to be educated and to be better, and I'm just not. I'm more of a say what I say, don't do as I do kind of parent when it comes to that. I have books. I own books, but all mine are like history books. Exploring with Custer and stuff like that. That's if I do any reading, that's the kind of stuff that I kind of gravitate towards. So I'm not as good.
I think that the psychological thriller genre definitely has people that are kind of obsessed with it, and honestly, especially my family, me, my mother, and my sister, we all three read psychological thrillers, but we read fictional psychological thrillers. We're not real big on true to life. I don't want to know that my next door neighbor's crazy, although I do know my next door neighbor's crazy, but I like the idea of the fictional aspect of your books, David, because like you said, you grab them from an actual story that's true to life story. So these things have happened or can happen or could happen, but then you fictionalize it and you bring your own story to it. And I really, really like that. And I'm really excited about your new book. Like I said, I've already ordered it. So
good. I'd love to hear what you think of it when you finish it. And one of the reasons I do write, I think, psychological thrillers but the base, there's a nugget of real life in there. You remember Truman Capote kind of started all that with In Cold Blood. He called it a fictional true crime fiction, I think. Fictional novel, which of course is an oxymoron, but what it means is that it's based on real life and on real people. But I always was interested in the why things happen. For instance, a true crime book, you get the who, what, where, when, how, and the why is usually a very technical explanation of why the crime took place and all that. But I wanted to know, what goes on in these people's head? Why do they do these things? Why did Ted Bundy and the Ed Kempers of the world and the Dennis Rader's, BTK, what's going on in their head that pushes them in this really deviant, dark direction? And that's what I wanted to understand it. Of course, you can't understand it. A very famous profiler by the name of John Douglas, if you're familiar with Mindhunter, he was one of the characters depicted in Mindhunter. He said you can figure all this stuff out, and if you, but in the end of the day, if you think you know why one of these people did what they did, you're the one that needs a psychological help, because you'll never figure out the why. But if you think you know why, then you're probably fallen into the deep dark abyss that you're looking into when you are talking about these characters. But what I do is I satisfy my desire for why by creating a world and a character who exists, and even the worst of the characters, they exist in this world, and there's an explanation for why they do what they do.
I like that. That's going to give me a new way to kind of look at it. I never thought of it that way, but I watch a lot of the documentaries about the people that you've just mentioned. And we're always looking for that why. We want to know, we want them to tell us, why did you do that? Why did you act that way? Why do you have that compulsion? And yeah, I like your explanation for it. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, you take a guy like Ted Bundy, who explained how he got caught, and he said, well, one of the things that I was always really very careful about how I committed my crimes and my murders. But he said, at a certain point, you get so relaxed, it's like changing a tire and forgetting what you did with the lug nuts. Now, how does a guy explain what he did using that analogy? I mean, it's just so out there that it's difficult to understand how he could explain himself by saying, I lost the lug nuts. Or Ed Kemper, the co-ed killer up in I think it was Santa Clara, said, I see a girl and I wonder what she'd be like to go out on a date, but sometimes I just prefer to see her head on a stick.
Yeah.
How does that happen? How does a guy think like that?
Right.
How many of us would ever have a thought like that? So that's the thing that fascinates me and that I want to try and understand. Like I said, I'm never going to understand it, but I'm going to create a world for myself and for my reader where some of that is understood and is explained.
Yeah, this is so far beyond what I envisioned this conversation going. I'm sorry. All of these things, I've never given it that much thought. I've always just for people like that, I've always just assumed that they're crazy and that's just the way they are and that's the end of the story. I've never thought as to given an actual why to someone like a Ted Bundy. You know what I mean? I've never given an actual why to someone like that. Just be like, well, they're fucking nuts, and so they're going to do what they do. So that's insane. Wow. This is above.
Well, actually, they're not nuts. They're not insane, which makes it all the more difficult to understand. Ed Kemper has an IQ in the 160s. The same with Ted Bundy. The same with many of them, not all. Many of them are just just not there. But there are a lot of them who are very intelligent. Ted Bundy was served on a suicide hotline. He advised people on how to what they had to do to prevent themselves from committing suicide. He was a smart guy. Ed Kemper was a smart guy. That is frightening to me. How is it that a smart guy can explain himself by saying, "Oh, I just lost, I got caught because I lost my lug nuts"? How does that happen? In a world that we live in? How does that happen?
Is it something like I'm going to throw out the Sheldon from television, where they're so intelligent they don't understand the social consequences to their actions. Their brain works at such a level that they don't think about I wonder what her head looks like on a stick, not that it's not okay to do that. You know what I mean? It's just such a, I don't know if that
it's
makes
a huge
any...
disconnect.
Well, yeah.
There is that. I suppose that a lot of these people just can't connect. But think of how many people there are who can't connect, who are like Sheldon on, the character Sheldon, but they don't run around killing people.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, there are a lot of people who are physically, emotionally, and sexually abused. Awful stories, but they don't end up killing other people because of it.
Right.
So there is something off about these people who end up doing these awful, terrible, despicable things. They not only can't connect, they have no empathy.
Right.
They have no way of understanding at an emotional level how bad it is to cause someone else harm. They just don't care.
Right.
If it satisfies their inner need, whatever that inner need is, they'll do it, and they don't care.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got a question in the chats from David Cunningham again. He was wondering if you've ever written a speech for a politician that has like some historical significance.
Well, yes, I did. I wrote the speech that nominated Ronald Reagan for president.
Really?
What?
When I say that, that's a little vainglorious.
No, I
was,
would be blowing it from the mountaintops. What?
What happened is the senator I worked for, Paul Laxalt, was the campaign chairman for Governor Reagan at the time. And he and Reagan were very close. They were governors of, and Senator Laxalt was the man I served as a speechwriter and press secretary for. I should have started by saying that. He and Reagan were very friendly personally as well as professionally, and he was tapped by Reagan to be his campaign manager. So when it came time for the convention, a speech had to be written. So I sat down with Paul, and we put together a speech that was used to nominate Reagan. Now, having said that, Paul Laxalt never read a speech. He never had a speech up on a teleprompter. What he would do is we would write a speech. He would sit down, in his wherever he sat down, and he'd read it over 6, 7, 8 times, and then he would, whatever stuck in his craw about that speech, he would then write down on a note card, and he would then turn that into a speech, because he just never felt comfortable reading a speech. He felt comfortable taking elements of a speech that had been written for him and speaking extemporaneously. That said, whatever speech that we wrote and finished with was, and we committed to paper, that was the speech that we would hand out to the press. Mm-hmm. So we had two things here. We had the written version of the press of the speech, and the version that he did extemporaneously. So however you look at it, I worked with him on that speech.
That's very cool.
That's
bragging rights, sir, for sure.
Yeah.
Now I've written a few other speeches that ended up I don't know. They have various books. I think Great Speeches of the Day, I think is a journal. A speech I once wrote for Secretary of Education ended up in there, and another speech I wrote for the Secretary of Commerce just after 9/11. Wrote a speech for the Secretary of Commerce. I remember that. I have to step back a second. Just before 9/11, the gentleman that I wrote for was the Secretary of Commerce, Don Evans. I was working with him at the time. Just prior to 9/11, he was supposed to speak somewhere like the Detroit Economics Club or something. So we wrote this big involved speech about economics and numbers and, just the regular speech that you would hear someone give at an economics club. I don't know, maybe it was a couple of days before that 9/11 happened. So we had to rewrite the speech completely and had to make it more of a, for lack of a better term, a rah-rah speech about, the Americans, our democracy, the threats to our democracy, and so on and so forth. That speech ended up in Great Speeches of the Day too. So I've got speeches here and there that have ended up with other people other than us who wrote it, reading it.
Very nice.
So the speech writing, I'm so, because like I knew that, like, obviously presidents all the way back, dating back as long as, being a historical historian, that, you were, this so-and-so helped Lincoln with the speech, so-and-so helped so-and-so with the speech. But you never think of, like, I don't know, because you said you wrote for like people just when they would give remarks on the floor. Like, do they do anything on their own, or do they have somebody to like do all of that? And then how much input do they have, or does it vary per person?
Well, it depends. Yeah, it varies, just like anything else in a person's human nature. Yes, if there is going to be a debate on a floor on an issue, on a bill that, for instance, that has to do with the, I don't know, economics, mm-hmm. They can't just go in there and wing it. I mean, they have to have some background information to help them out. So you have to put that together to give them to go onto the floor and make a speech. Now, that's, that having been said, they still have to debate. They still have to, talk from their, be on their toes about what it is they want to say and how they want to say it. We have to understand these are accomplished people. We're not talking about, morons. I mean, most of these, again, you wouldn't know it sometimes, especially today, given
Right.
what's going on. But most of these are accomplished people. They're used to speaking extemporaneously. They're used to absorbing information and being able to relay it in the way that people understand. But there are times when they need, when they need remarks written,
Right.
especially if they're going to go before a committee and testify before a committee on an issue. They don't want to, you don't want to go there and not have at least some idea of what you want to say.
Right.
So yes, they do need someone to help them with that. But most of them, for instance, Reagan was a big editor of his speeches. He did not take a speech and say, okay, that sounds great, and go out and give it. He edited all of his speeches. There are people who I've worked for who take it and say, okay, this looks great. Maybe they'll scribble a few things before they get on the podium, but it depends.
Right. Well, I guess I just thought, like, for something like a bill, we'll just say, like, Ukraine funding. We'll just throw this out there, hypothetical. Like, I just thought that, like, in my little pea brain, like, they would have, like, someone who would give them data and numbers and whatever, and then they would debate with that kind of information, but use their own thought process and their own speech towards it, and just kind of go with, like, okay, we're going to spend X amount of money on X project and or testifying in front of somebody that you'd have when they go in front of a committee, that they'd have the basic information. Oh, I saw in this article you said this or whatever, but not actually be kind of scripted, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Well, again, for some of them, it works differently than for others. Now, you mentioned debate. When they're debating, yeah, they have to be on their toes.
Right.
They have to be able to debate extemporaneously. If someone makes a point they don't agree with, they have to be able to disagree with it reasonably and rationally and have their own thoughts and numbers on it. But when a bill is being introduced by, let's say, a senator, he gets up there and he has to introduce it, with a speech, with prepared remarks. But where it goes from there is anybody's guess.
Right.
So you have to be able to talk. You have to be on your toes to be able to debate. But you want to have your thoughts together when you're, for instance, introducing a bill on the floor of the Senate.
Right. God, that's such a fascinating. The whole thing, this whole conversation is completely more fascinating than I thought it was going to be 2 hours ago.
Yay!
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yes, because like I said, no one's going to ever accuse me of being very smart. So that's the problem we have here. But oh man,
he undersells himself all the time.
I don't.
He does.
A very humble man. Very humble man.
Yes. For sure.
Well, coming up in the future, you said you have a couple books that are going through the process. Are you still writing now? Or are you kind of? You said it takes 4 or 5 months. Did you take a break between, or how does that work?
Yeah. I usually take a few months off, 3 months off, 3-4 months off. But again, it depends on an idea may hit me while I'm reading the newspaper. As I said, the New York Times. I wasn't planning on anything, but that idea hit me. It stuck in my head, so I went and turned it into a book. I have one I'm writing now. That same thing happened. I read a story in the newspaper about a professor, a fairly well-known professor in the Central Florida area, who was involved in a hit and run. Now, this is not just some guy. It's a professor. He's well known in his area, respected. He got involved in a hit and run, and he left. Obviously, if it's hit and run, disappeared for 3 days, and they found him. He had shot himself. He killed himself. So I'm reading this article, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy is a professor. He's well known. At worst, he would have gotten, a ticket for hit and run if he was drinking, a DUI for hit and run. No one was that badly hurt. A passenger in his car was hurt. I think she broke a wrist or something. But there's more. There's got to be more of this story. You just don't leave. You're a professor. You have a career. You have people respect you. You're just going to jump out of a car and leave because you back-ended someone. So with that in mind, I sat down and I started writing a book. And my purpose is to delve into this person's background and see if I can figure out what it is that prompted him to leave an accident. As I said, that the worst thing that can happen, you got a ticket, maybe a DUI, and then go off and shoot yourself, kill yourself.
Right.
There's got to be more there. And there has never been a follow-up article written that I can find on if anybody had the same thought I did, like, what the hell's this all about?
Right.
So I'm turning it into a book.
Very cool.
Wow.
And you said Central Florida area?
Yeah,
It's
it was
where
Daytona Beach, I think it was.
Very cool. I spend some time in Florida, more like the Tampa area, but that'll be neat. I'm excited for that book now. Dang it. You
Well,
got me
keep in
hooked,
mind.
David.
But these are the things that drive me nuts, and that force me to sit down for 4 or 5 hours a day, every day, 6 days, at least 6 days a week, and write for 4 or 5 months until I figure out why this guy would do that to himself.
And
I bet your wife hates when you pick up a newspaper.
I was saying, does your wife take all the newspapers and hide them from you? So you
Well, yeah, and also if we're watching TV together and I get too involved in a story and I start asking myself or her too many questions, she says, "Ah, Christ, here we go again."
Oh, Lord. Wow.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. That's all I could think was I bet your wife is all about turning off the news, hiding the magazines, hiding the newspapers. She's like, just don't read or look at anything.
Well, she's a saint. I have to say that. And she's my best editor because she's the one that I go to. I write in blocks. For instance, I'll write 20,000 words and then I'll give them to her and I say, how is this? Is this a good story? Am I into something here? Just tell me what you think of the first 20,000 words, where you think it's going, and then I'll get the next 20,000 words, and I'll give her those. And I say, "Is this what you were expecting? Is it okay? Am I still doing okay?" And then I'll give her the final 30 or 40,000 words, and then she will then. And then she edits all of it. So she has a job, but to be able to put up with that over, I've been writing now since 2010. I've been writing, so 14 years. She's had to lose me for 4 months out of the year. But then again, we worked pretty responsible jobs, and we raised 3 kids, so she didn't see me much then either.
Well, there you go.
Does she give you a lot of input on it, or does she just kind of read it and kind of like you're talking about the editor process, kind of like, oh, this could use a little bit of work, or does she no, this character has to do this? How involved does she get in the process, other than just a?
Oh, she gets very involved. I mean, when I first started writing, I tended to be a little pedantic because of my speech writing background. Mm-hmm. Speech writing and writing a novel are 2 totally different things, especially when you're a political speechwriter, because sometimes you can get you get a little involved, over involved in the facts and the figures and all that sort of stuff. And you're writing for a public official, so you have to be correct and mm-hmm. so on and so forth. But at the same time, obviously, you have to connect with your audience. That's all that said. When I first started writing, I guess I tended to be a little pedantic. So I remember that my first 20,000 words, she said, "It sounds like a speech. You got to make these people real. You have to, they don't always talk in complete sentences. When you have a plot situation going, you don't explain it like you're explaining how a bill is passed in Congress. You have to make it more human." So that's Evil Town. So she changed that. I'd say the first half of that had to be completely rewritten because she called it my attention. So I had to go back and say, if a guy says, "I want to go to the bathroom," he can say, he can just say, "Look, give me a minute."
Yeah.
That kind of thing. You don't have to say every word. You don't have to explain every nuance. And you can talk in shorthand, and you don't have to have the G's on every word. That's that sort of thing. That's where she's been the biggest help to me.
Does she have any background in language arts or anything, or does she just help you out?
she's multilingual. She
Right.
speaks Spanish, English.
But I'm talking about
French.
like the she wasn't like an English teacher, or she wasn't like she
No.
wasn't anything like that. She just okay.
No, she just has a facility for languages, and she's well educated, and she reads voraciously, just like I do. She also worked, in Washington for the State Department. So I mean, she's an accomplished woman,
Yeah.
and has been a great help to me. Plus, she's a Cuban. She's Cuban American. She
Okay.
emigrated here in 1960 to escape Cuba. We didn't know each other in Cuba, obviously, but we had that in common. So it's funny the way the world works.
Right. Oh, that's great. That's cool. You have that kind of built-in support system. That's amazing. Have you? So
Yes.
you hear these stories and you write the novel about them. Have you ever kind of found out later about a story that you've written about, how true or untrue your kind of fiction is about it?
No, I've never had that experience in that way because, as I said, I try and do a lot of research.
Right.
I would hate for that to happen. What you just said, for someone to come back and say, you really screwed this up. This isn't the way things happened at all. Plus, you have to remember, I'm writing fiction.
Right.
So anything that I write, I'm creating a whole world here. So it doesn't have to be true to form.
Right.
I can say whatever I want. And if someone has a problem, I could say, yeah, but it's fiction. At the same time, I don't want something to be so unrealistic that that someone can come back and say, well, that could never happen. For instance, a revolver, you can't put a silencer on a revolver. It doesn't work. It doesn't fit. So I have to, find out, if I have a revolver in the novel and I want someone to shoot someone, but I don't want everybody to hear it, can you silence a revolver? Which I found out in this book that I'm writing now. The reason I'm bringing it up is because you can't unless it's a certain kind of revolver. It has to be a certain kind of revolver. So that's the kind of thing that I don't want to make a mistake about.
Right.
So it's fiction to a point. It's fiction, i.e. the story didn't unfold that way in real life, but
Right.
you're true to life in your facts within your fiction.
Exactly. You can't, for example, people, you see on TV or one of these, whatever, someone's strangling someone and it takes 30 seconds or 5 seconds to strangle them. That's not true. In real life, anybody you've ever talked to that's been involved either has strangled someone or has been strangled and escaped. It takes at least 4 or 5 minutes to strangle someone, and you have to constantly be able to apply the right kind of pressure. So if you're writing a novel, the kind of novels I write, you can't have someone go in there and take care of business with strangling.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost him. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Why are we talking about strangling people? We can't have that.
I know. We can't lose them when we're strangling.
No. Oh
That
no.
was important.
Yes.
Because he had to do the research to find out that it takes 4 or 5 minutes to strangle someone.
I actually
and now it's like,
kind of
who do you ask that about?
Right? Oh, there he's back. All right. Woof.
Okay.
You back?
Yeah, we're back. All right. Woof.
We're here.
Right in the
what
important part
happened.
of strangling people. I don't know. We had a little
A glitch.
glitch or
We
something.
have gremlins. We
Mhm.
really do have gremlins.
All right. I thought maybe I did something wrong, but anyway,
No,
so that's
you're
the kind of thing I try and be careful about.
Okay.
Well, good.
Um,
Yeah. So that we were just saying while you were gone, that the type of research you have to do to find those kind of things out. I mean, you think about it. Okay, I'm going to write this scene, and somebody's going to be strangled. Who do you go to find out those facts? Do you Google search? Are there people that you can reach out to that can help with those kind of things? I mean, how do you do your research?
And not sound crazy about it, because I mean, like, you could
Yeah.
ask anybody, like, how do you strangle somebody? Like, I feel like there's got to be a little bit of disconnect there to be like, Hey.
There's only
No,
certain
you can
people.
actually you can Google almost anything.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, if you wrote out and if you Googled how long does it take to strangle someone, you can get an answer to that.
Yeah.
You probably get an agent knocking on your door too, but wait.
You know, there have actually been some novels written about that, about people who've gone on Google to have strange requests and end up with someone knocking on their door, especially people that write about, for instance, sexual abuse or children being kidnapped, and they go on and they do a lot of research for whatever they're working on, and then they'll have someone come to their house, or they'll get a telephone call from a law enforcement agency saying, "We noticed that you've been doing this. What's this all about?" So yeah, there is some truth to what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought so. I thought that would be something. It's like, oh, well, you know, somebody's always listening. Somebody's always looking.
Yeah.
So if you research something enough times, somebody's going to show up and be like, should we be worried about you, sir?
David Cunningham asked, he said that Dean Koontz writes a lot of books about Orange County, where he's from. And he was wondering if you sometimes like take field trips to the area you're writing about to help set the tone, or like get local dialects or anything like that.
Yes. Well, yes and no. There are instances. For instance, 2 or 3 of my novels are set in Las Vegas. So I did go out there a number of times to do research, and people still always say, "Yeah, right, that's what you were doing in Las Vegas." But it is true, because in one of my novels I have, and a lot of people don't know this. There is a 200-mile tunnel system, subterranean tunnel system under the strip in Las Vegas, and people live in it. And so I discovered that there was such a place that existed, and I set one of my novels in Las Vegas, and for reasons, you know, I had a number of scenes in this tunnel. So I went out to Las Vegas and actually went into one of these tunnels, which was pretty stupid. It was kind of creepy. The people in there, well, you can imagine the kind of people that would live in a tunnel like that under the strip. And what they're used for. It doesn't rain a lot in that part of the country, but when it rains, it really rains. And previous to these tunnels, it would flood downtown Las Vegas. So they dug these tunnels so that when the water came off the mountains, it would go into these tunnels under the city and back out the other side. So that was the reason for the tunnels. Long-winded way of saying, yes, I do that. And I had various situations and settings in Las Vegas that I had to go to and visit so that I could describe them. Also, there's the current novel is set in New York. So I took a couple of trips to New York. It's set up in the upper east and west side of New York. So I had to go up there and do some looking around to make sure that I was doing the right thing. I had the right streets. They're meeting the right streets, not, one street from, somewhere in downtown New York, somehow winding up in uptown New York. So I did a lot of research in that. And another one of my books was set in the country of Suriname, which is a small country in South America. Now, I didn't visit Suriname, but the way I did my research for that, you're talking about how you do research. I found that that Suriname, a lot of people in Suriname, especially the government, has done a lot of videos of Suriname all over the country. There's a particular man who's a taxi driver. I know this sounds weird, but he's a taxi driver, and he's done a lot of videos of himself driving around the capital of Suriname, where my book was set. So I studied all those very carefully and double checked a lot of the things that he said. So that's the way I do my research. But answer your question, yes, I have visited some places. I don't visit others, but I do my research thoroughly enough, I think, finding ways to do it that someone is not going to say that's ridiculous. That, you've completely misrepresented how this city is set up. Right.
Well, as you're reading that, or you're talking about that, like my wife listens to books on Audibles, and she made me listen to this part. This guy, I live in the West, where a good sized ranch is 100,000 acres, right? And it was set actually not too far from where we live, and that's the reason she downloaded the book. But they were like talking about this huge ranch the guy had, and it was 12 acres. I'm like, 12 acres is a yard. You know what I mean? That's not a huge ranch. He's lured some woman there because he's got this huge ranch, and she's astonished that he's got 12 acres. I'm like, man, 12 acres. Like, my wife's family owns $500,000 and leases another $500,000. Like, that's a ranch. You know, it's like Yellowstone out here. It's not like. So I mean, that was kind of.
I would hate to make a mistake like that. And that's what I try to avoid by doing the research that I do. And I'll call people up if I know someone that lives somewhere that I have set a plot point in the novel. I'll call them up and say, and I'll say, I'm going to send you, what I'm writing here, and you take a look at it and see how badly I've screwed up or if it's okay.
Right. And I assume you have like buddies who are experts in firearms or, the military or whatever. Through 30 years in the government and everything else, you probably know a guy who knows guns. You probably know a guy who knows this stuff, and so you can kind of do that stuff too. And
just the other night here at the house, we were talking to a woman who was a FBI forensics and another that was FBI psychology. So yes, I do have friends, and I have them read the book, and I will talk to them. Say, this is what I hope to accomplish, or this is what I want to write about, and they'll talk me down if I'm making a mistake, but at the same time, if they will help me with my writing. So yes, to answer your question, I do have people I can go to and read the book.
Very cool.
If you had to pick one book, only one book that you'd recommend to a book that you've written to somebody, which one would you recommend? What do you feel is your favorite book that you've written?
That's like asking a parent who their favorite child is.
I've got 8 kids and I still have a favorite. I'm just saying. Like,
well, yeah, me too.
it would be tough. I like. This is going to sound like I'm selling this because we're here talking about it, but I do like Mapping the Night. I think it's a good book. My wife's favorite is a book called Little Wars. It's always been her favorite. And what it is, it's set in the last 3 days of World War II. And a farmer out there and his family are killed. The whole family is murdered. And the sheriff there has to figure out what is going on because the life force for this town has been a cannery that was opened up to produce meals ready to eat for the army during World War II. That's what saved them from the Dust Bowl. And there's a glitch now. These families been killed. This manufacturer has to decide between the town that it took place in and another town. So the sheriff has to figure out pretty quickly what went wrong so that the town is not completely ridded of this opportunity to have this manufacturing plant turned into something that will produce food after the war. So that's the plot line, and that's the one that my wife is crazy about. So I'll say Mapping the Night simply because she likes it the most.
All right.
No, not. I'm sorry, Little Wars.
Little Wars.
Little Wars.
All right.
The one I like. Little Wars is the one she likes.
Great.
Oh, very cool.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I really do appreciate you coming on, David. Where can people find your work? Where's the best place for them to support you and your work? Where's the best place for them to go?
Just go to Amazon Books, type in John David Bethel, and you'll find the array of books there. Or also my website, www.johndavidbethel.com is another. Goodreads, you can find them on Goodreads. I'm on Facebook. You can find me there, and we're discussing, writing out little tidbits about my novel. So any of those places, I'm not hard to find.
All right. Well, we'll share all your socials and stuff. We got a big list of them. We'll make sure we get those shared for you. And really do appreciate you coming on. It's been fantastic. So is there anything else you want to add? Anything we feel like we left out that you want to drop really quick?
Can't think of anything. I just want to thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And I'm really thrilled to death that you read the Evil Town. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, and I've got more now in my reading list.
All right.
to get of yours. So I will reach out via our PR lady mom and let you know what I think about the newest book for sure.
Okay, terrific. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, David, I really do appreciate you coming on. I'm going to cut us to break, and I'll let you go for the night. So thank you so much for being here. And if you hold on for just a second, we'll shut her down. So
okay, thank you.
And listeners, we'll be back.
Thank you, David. I had a great time talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in about 5 minutes with to close her out. So, all right, we'll go to break. Shots.
I come from a lifetime of hard labor and dirty hands. Holes in the soles of both of my boots and grease stains on my pants. I never laid eyes on a silver spoon, Lord, I never had a glance. It ain't a high-class living, got my weed and ribbon, so I really don't give a damn. But when it comes to the hard times, yeah, buddy, I've seen them all. Hell, I've spent my nights in some busted dives, drank a river of alcohol. And I've broken my back harvest time, working 90-hour weeks. Well, I ain't a rich man, I ain't no rich man, but damn, I wanna be. They say that money won't make you happy. Let me give it a try. 'Cause I've been working like a dog in the summer heat, going broke on overtime. Oh, I sing my song for the working folk. Go on and raise your beer with me. Sing, I ain't a rich man, I ain't no rich man, but damn, I wanna be. But when I finally break these shackles and I ain't counting out these dimes, when I can play my songs all night long and leave this job behind, you can bet you can find me grinning on the day I'm finally free, singing, I ain't a rich man, I ain't no rich man, but damn, I wanna be. Singing, I ain't no rich man, I ain't no rich man, but damn, I wanna be.
Hey, everybody, we back.
Hi.
Holy shit. That guy, that was intense. That was like camping. It was intense.
He's fun.
God, I wish
he is fun. Now I'm even more excited to read his next book.
I actually,
and now I'm gonna have to go get more of his books.
That went so, I don't know if you could tell, but that went so off the rails from what I had envisioned. Maybe I need to get better at like the whole interviewing people and like having shit like a backup plan for questions. Because I really,
because it went well though.
it did. It
really
went
did,
fine. It
because-
went fine because you were here. Could you imagine that?
Well,
Just because you're like, I'll dip and you can just do it. Like, no, I'm half stupid and 3/4 retarded, and this guy's a genius. Like, there's no
he's a
way.
genius.
There is absolutely no way I could sit down and write a novel just from like, oh, I'm going to hear this tidbit of a story and read a story in the New York Times and be captivated enough by it to like do the research and do all the backstory and learn as much as you can about all of the things and then write a book about it. Like, there's no way. I'm not.
I wasn't joking. My sister-in-law, she's a published writer.
Yeah.
She writes under the name Bev Oz, I believe. Or Brenna Zinn. That's her writing name, Brenna Zinn.
Good. David said he learned a lot about writing books. That's good. I have David Cunningham. Have you thought about doing any writing yourself?
I think David Cunningham should write about his time in the service. I bet that would be cool.
Right.
He did 30 bazillion years.
He did. And and he's also an intelligent person. I think he could write a pretty good book about it. I could not. No, sir. Have you just try it? Maybe. Because here's the thing, like, and this is what threw me was like, I really thought, and the few people that I've talked to that have written anything of any substance, and that's basically college professors, right? They have like an outline, a timeline.
Well, my sister-in-law does.
And then they fill in the blanks, right? They know this happened on this day, this happened here, and then they have a little bit of like poetic license that they kind of fill in the gaps with. Right? And do the kind of what he's talking about, like do the research thinking like, oh, I think one of my professors wrote a book on Custer, right? And some of the stuff was very well documented of where they were and what they did. And then there was holes in that he filled in by trying to figure out what kind of person Custer actually was. And it was with Custer and his wife at Fort Laramie. And it was, anyway, back to the story, right? So like, that's kind of how I just figured everyone did it. Not just sit down at your computer or your keyboard or whatever he's on. It's be like, oh, I read a story in the New York Times about this guy who committed suicide, and then write a whole ass novel and like let his brain kind of flow and do all organically. Like, I have a hard enough time doing this show for 2 hours just organically. You know what I mean? And go on tangents between like, I don't know, fucking baseball on steroids to, could you imagine to be like the Amish to fucking, this could be like, if I did that, it would be just like, I would just call it like a Jake's story, a fucking chronicle of his ADD, and then publish it. That'd be all it would be. Like, I couldn't do that. So that's amazing to me. And like, I don't know, like,
it is pretty stinking cool.
Yes, I'm actually flabbergasted. And I really, and I know we talked before the show, like, I'm not a reader. I'm not smart. And when we would do the stuff, like, I used to plow snow, right? When I was a plow truck driver, I would drive for 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. And I would listen to audiobooks and I would listen to podcasts. And that's how I got started in all this. And I've told this story several times about how I got started on here. And I never, like, I was just driving, plowing snow. You're driving 15, 20, 25 miles an hour down the road, watching it go off, right? And like, so I could listen to a book and stay concentrated on it. But now, like, I'm doing things and I listen to, through my hearing aids that are Bluetooth, right? So I listen to YouTube, or I do a lot of news stuff because news is kind of whatever, and you don't miss it. If you're listening to an audiobook and you miss a part, if you miss a 15-minute part, it fucks up the whole book, right? Yeah. If I'm fucking with plants and I miss a few minutes of this podcast on Ukraine, I'm not out anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I couldn't imagine like being so into something where it just like you said, for like 5-6 months, and it's a story like I get, like, when you read a book, you get invested in it. But when you're writing the book and you don't know how it's going to end, and you're like, God, I wonder what happens tomorrow. Like, it's your story. What do you mean? I wonder what this guy's going to do next. That just blew my.
If you're writing it,
that blew my mind. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and then there's
crazy. A lot going on in that man's brain.
And it's impressive to me that he can take those. And those ideas and piece them together and string them together enough that it works. That's great. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So, God, I wish I was smart. Someday I would be. Someday I'll be
You are
smart.
smart. You're
No.
just not write a book smart.
I'm not.
There's a big spectrum of people and their intelligence. I could not put together that track vehicle that you built and make it look as cool as that. That is your smarts.
But it's not smart. It's repetitive. It's repetitive.
It's smart. I could not do that.
You know what it is? You know what it actually factually is just taking it's removing my smart. It's removing my brain. It's turning my brain off and making me have to like concentrate on a very small detail and focus on that. And that is honestly probably the last 3 or 4 months of my shit job has what's kept me sane.
Oh, well, there you go.
So yeah, it's one of the few things that I like. I mean, okay, I love my wife. I love my kids. I love my dogs. I love doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But
sometimes you need an outlet, and that's your outlet.
And that's kind of been, it has been my outlet. And I feel badly because like, I think it's been too, because my wife's been so laid up. So we haven't been able to like go do stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because she had the shoulder surgery.
And then like she's been back to work, and that's kind of taken a lot out of her too. Like we can't like, you know what I mean?
And you guys have been doing a lot end of the school year, with the sports, graduating child, and all this stuff. So it's good that you've got that outlet.
God, it'd be nice. Is this sad for me to think that I kind of hope? I can't wait for school to start again.
No. I have a 13-year-old that lives in my house. I am right there with you.
Right.
I cannot wait for school to start again.
I have patience. I have a little bit. I don't have much though, David. I wish I had more. Now, okay, what I will say this about, I love my kids. I do. But it kind of feels as of late, they're fucking, I wish I'd just go to school or go do something because they're more work when I come home. Okay. yesterday. And we have said, Anna said words to the girls, the older girls, like, hey, if you're going to ask to go do something, you got to, what did you do to help out around the house today?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like basically they do 2 hours worth of something and then they come home and fucking lay in their bed all day. Shit ain't fucking flying no more, right?
Mm-hmm.
I came home yesterday to like 2 puddles of dog pee and some turds in the corner, right? So I'm like, what the fuck? So I worked 9 hours yesterday. I come home, clean up fucking after the dogs, right? And then I'm getting ready to cook dinner and I look over, there's another fucking puddle of piss. And I was like, these fucking dogs even go outside today? Like, they'll pee outside. I've seen them do it. Like, let them out the fuck. You gotta open the fucking door and I'll go outside and pee. And they're both boys and they're both unfixed, so they'll just pee on top of each other's pee. It's easy. You get one of them to pee, then they just pee nonstop outside. It's great. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, what the fuck? And then I was like, whatever. I finally got over and I'm cooking dinner and I put some burgers on the grill, whatever. And then Gabe, the youngest who lives with us, I was like, what'd you do today? He's like, I watched the dogs. Bullshit, you watch the dogs. If you watch the dogs, you did a fucking piss poor job of it. Just don't fucking lie to me.
Pee on my floor.
And then I could think about it, I'm like, you know what? If they were in school and I was at work and Anna's at work, the dogs are in their kennel. And the dogs don't hate their kennels. They're little dogs, big kennels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so if they were just in their kennels all day, I wouldn't have to do the work when I get home. Just fucking don't even, just go away. Just fucking go be a kid. Go play in the creek. Go jump your mountain bike over fucking dumpsters or some shit. I don't fucking know. Just get the fuck out of the house. Put the dogs in the kennel.
I got my grandson a pass for the local. It's a gym, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's not a normal gym. It's like the YMCA on steroids.
Okay.
And they have, a swimming pool and they have like little inner tube floaty things, whatever.
Yep.
I got him that because of the exact same reason. Because if he's at home, he won't put the dogs out. He'll just sit there and then let the dogs pee wherever they want to pee.
Right.
But if he has this, he's leaving the house and he's going and doing something, and the dogs are fine because they're used to me being at work and him being at school. So,
Yep, David.
So I feel you.
I agree. As a kid, our chores had to be done before he asked for anything, and I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Well, see, we paid, what was it like? It was only like $150, whatever, for the water park, which is like 3 blocks away. Gabe can ride his bicycle over there. Jonah didn't want to go. Jonah's going to be a freshman next year. So he's in that, The water park's not as cool anymore. His buddies don't go. His buddies have jobs. He wants a job. And I was like, okay, then fucking apply for jobs. And he just kind of looked at me like I was fucking retarded. Like, if you want a job, like, people aren't going to come to our house like, hey, Jonah, do you want a job? No. You have to put an application. I was like, fine. So by this time next week, or by the end of the week, you need to put in 3 applications. 3. That's how good a count I am.
It's like me complaining that I'm single, but I never go anywhere to meet anybody.
Right? They're just gonna come on. Hey, Taryn, what's up? You want to come? You want?
They're gonna show up at my door one day and be like, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" And
right.
I'm like, that's the way it should happen.
Right.
Because I ain't going nowhere, and
right.
I ain't looking for nobody.
I ain't fucking looking for nobody. They better show the fuck up. They better will themselves into my motherfucking life.
That's right. If they don't just magically appear on my front doorstep, it ain't happening.
Oh, I need to get, I'm in this mode with my kids because I understand, like, they're very quickly getting older. Right. And so, like I said, Rachel's going, I'm taking her to college tomorrow for her, not NDoc. What the fuck is it called? Orientation.
Oh yeah. For college.
Yeah. Right. Jocelyn's a senior. Jonah's a freshman. Gabe's going to be a 7th grader. And it seems like fucking yesterday that Rachel was a 7th grader. You know what I mean? And it's just like bam, bam, bam. You know what it's like? You know exactly what it's like. How fast that that's fucking 5 years is gone. 6 years is gone. And so, like, I'm trying not to be a giant dick about it and be like, hey, you guys got to fucking pick your shit up. But I was just like honestly, like yesterday, Jonah's buddy came over, right? And was like, you need to clean your room. It's a fucking pigsty. I've been fucking saying that shit for years. And they worked on it. And honestly, looked like a fucking barracks room. That clean. Everything was fucking, everything had a place. Everything was organized. All of it. He went through his fucking drawers, pulled out like 3 big garbage bags full of clothes. Yes. Because his buddy said you live like a slob. I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't give a shit when mom or dad says
when
it.
We speak, it's just for our own purposes.
Right, but when his buddy
ourselves.
Embarrasses him, that's when it's a fucking
Then it's an issue. I need to invite some of my grandsons over so they can embarrass him.
13. He's 14. Yep, you got to get that 14-year-old. If he's 13, you got to get someone who's a little bit older, a little bit more refined. Yep. Mm-hmm, what's up, Mom? Mm-hmm. Holla.
Hey,
what's up?
Oh, what's up?
But yeah, I don't know. I love them, and I want them to grow into adults. It's just they're at that fucking stage where it's like they're just frustrating.
Yeah, I get it.
Like the baby on board sign for your minivan, you need a I'm single sign for your back windows.
Right? Yeah. Then they can just start hitting on me.
Yep.
They'd be like, hey, single lady in the Trailblazer. Mm-hmm. I saw your car.
Yeah. And you got a pretty sweet ride, though. You can pull it off. Be all right.
Yeah.
Oh. So anyway, so it's a little after 8 my time. And my bladder's about this big now, so we should probably wrap her up.
You hurried up. You want me to? We've got some guests coming up.
Tell us about the guests coming up. What we got for guests coming up?
Thursday. There is a guest, Jack Donna. Jack will be talking about Steve Slayton and running for office, and is a solid case of stolen valor.
Was some guy running for office as a case stolen?
Steve Slayton running for office.
I
believe he must there be a case for stolen valor, but not our guest.
Oh, the guest is talking. Okay.
It's talking about.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then there's a guest on Monday. The guest on Monday is Marshall Taryn. Oh, look. Like my name, but different. Spelled ERRIN. And yeah, that's all I have on that person. And then Tuesday, he's got a guest, and I'm probably going to butcher this. I believe it's Terilyn Rothery. And of course, it's on pop culture, so it's probably somebody super, super cool. Way cool. Vancouver native, always knew she wanted to be an entertainer. She began her career as a dancer at the age of 13, where apparently she was in her first musical Bye Bye Birdie. She's currently over the years been in Stargate SG-1, The Outer Limits, The X-Files, First Wave, Masterminds, and starred with Patrick Stewart in Mr. Rice's Secret. So she's got quite a little list on IMDb. So she will be on Tuesday's show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we don't have anybody next week.
I hope not. So I'll let you guys kind of know what's going on. We've talked about this a little bit, and we'll bring it up as we're getting closer. Hopefully, Mom's still listening. But I may not be able to do Wednesdays moving forward, and so we may look at moving the show around a little bit. TZ and I have talked a little bit offline. I will know more probably next week. So by this time next week, I will know more about what's going on in my life.
And then you people will know more.
And then you people will know more. You guys will know, not quite as quick as I know, but because there are people that are going to know a little bit faster than me, but
that's all right.
It's a surprise. Why do I have 2 restreams open?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Mm.
But we will cross that bridge when we get there.
Yes.
And I will keep you guys up to date on stuff. And so I wanted to let you guys know kind of what's going on. So if
just the heads up to the heads up.
Yep. I really enjoy this. I enjoy doing the radio, and I don't want to have to quit for a stupid job. So
I blame you. I don't blame you at all.
We have options. If for some reason I have to work on Wednesday nights, we can move things around. But
sure.
we will figure it out, and I'll let you guys know as we move closer. But anyway, so let me look at my calendar here. So we should be here next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next week is the 26th. July 3rd, the week after.
Yes.
Are we going to be here? Do you have plans for 4th of July?
I don't have go out of town plans. No, I will be here.
Okay.
I'm going out of town the weekend before that because that's my birthday weekend.
Yes.
So I will be out of town, but I will be here. It's up to you if we do a Wednesday, the 3rd show.
Let me talk to my better half.
All right.
And we'll see. Because I think that I need to look. Definitely next week we'll be here. I'm kind of curious because I think with it being on a Thursday,
the 4th of July.
The 4th of July, because the way we do things out here is some towns do things on like the 3rd, some towns do things on the 4th. So that way, if you play your cards right, you can actually go to like 4 fireworks shows that week. You know what I mean? Good thinking.
He's got a map out.
You can go to all the parades.
We'll be here and here and here, and then on Thursday we'll be here and here.
Mm-hmm. And you can do all the parades, and everyone's got B1s that fly over. Yeah. So
how much fun?
Yeah. So you get your teeth rattled for 30 seconds once a year. So anyway, but I'm just saying, like, so I don't know. I don't want to make plans if my wife has plans. But we'll talk about it. Let me get a hold of her, and we'll see
know
what's going
next
on.
week.
I will put the no show in. If we are going to have a no show, I will put it in probably like by the end of the weekend. So, anyway, thanks, David. Semper Fi, thanks for being here, buddy, and I hope all is well for you. Same with you, Holly. Thanks for being here. Definitely try that on Mini Elon because that will. Yeah, peer pressure is way more pressure than we could ever give. So
for sure.
I'm trying to think. I thought I played. So I messed up our songs.
Uh-oh.
And I don't know where I think I know. I think we can still play Turnpike Troubadours because that. Okay. Oh, wrong song.
Oh, by the way, our past guests.
Yes.
Well, he isn't our guest yet. Some music that you played that was a buddy of mine, Wayne Whedon.
Yes.
And I had you play some of his music.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody would like to know a little update, he actually has his first single out streaming now.
What?
Yeah. And so now that he's recording and he's getting an actual album, I think we might have to have old Wayne Whedon here on the show.
That was Come and Take It, right? Was that the song?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We played that earlier. For sure about
So
it.
he's going to have more music soon for us. So yeah, he's actually got some out there, and he's been in the studio recording, and he's been doing some live gigs. And so, yeah, he's been doing really great.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to put us out on Turnpike Troubadours, Southeastern Sun. It's one of my favorite songs. So it's a good one to end on.
I like that.
So I appreciate everyone for hanging out. I appreciate our guest, Dave. Thank you so much for coming on. And I think I'm going to wrap this up, and we will see you guys next week.
I think we sure will see you guys next week.
All right. Peace. Shots.
Bye.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
Please enjoy the show. Shots.
Well, I guess I was born with a gun in my hand. We'd walk the big clear cuts in the pine timberland. Well, the army man told me that I could defend the free. Oh, and draw me a paycheck and get a tech school degree. I said, hey now, Sergeant, that sure does sound fine. Well, the sawmill ain't hiring. Tell me, where do I sign? Won't you light a lantern for me? I'll be gone, but not long. Won't you keep a candle burning? Won't you leave the porch light on? Well, my hands are still steady, and they still hold a gun. And this is suit of a soldier for your southeastern son. Well, tell mom not to worry if she's taking it hard. Never thought I'd see action back when I joined the Guard. Well, all this will be over more later than soon. As I wrote in a letter beneath the big Afghan moon. Won't you lie?